Welcome to Healing Banashi, a space for sharing and conversation around healing in all its forms. I'm your host Innina, and here we talk about healing in the broadest sense of the word. Through encounters with people from different paths and backgrounds, we talk about practices, journeys, and experiences, always authentic and deeply lived, with presence, sincerity, and humanity. Today I have the great pleasure of welcoming Vincenzo Francesco Perra, who has a deeply inspiring journey connected to healing after years of different practices, martial arts, shamanism. He was also a yoga teacher for more than 20 years. And then an accident, a long recovery, and an extraordinary healing journey. I'm very happy to welcome you here and to share this wonderful conversation with you. So make yourself comfortable and let's get started. Okay, here we are. Hi Vincenzo.
Hi there.
Good morning. Welcome to Healing Banashi podcast.
Thank you for the invitation.
I'm very happy to have you with us today. And how are you?
Wonderfully, as some friend would say, but I say it too.
Wonderful. Vincenzo, I'll give a little context about how we met before moving into our interview. We met in an already somewhat holistic context. Actually, it was during an expressive dance event, right?
Right.
It was organized by two French shamans, our friends Sébastien and Jamael, who at the time were still in Sardinia.
True.
And today they are in Peru, right? And it's a meeting that we then continued through Reiki, given that you came to me for some treatments, and then one day I receive a message from you. Sorry, Nina, I have to cancel our appointment because I'm in the hospital. At that moment, I wasn't alarmed. I thought maybe it was a checkup or something light because I still didn't understood the context. But later, I understood that you had an accident, which, if you agree, we will come back to together today.
Of course.
Okay, but before that, if we go perhaps a little bit into your background, to begin simply, can you introduce yourself in your own words? Who are you today, Vincenzo?
Okay, who am I today? A very simple question, really.
Very simple, I always start like this.
Let's say the question, the simplest answer would be, my name is Vincenzo Francesco Perra. About being, we are perhaps used to saying what we do or what we don't do. But who we are, I can certainly say that I have always been a seeker since childhood. A seeker of meaning and significance in things. Since I was a child, I also noticed, let's say, the difference between words and behaviors, and therefore between doing and being, between declaring and doing. This at every level, and maybe I would be a somewhat troublesome child. Apparently, let's say that prepackaged things didn't necessarily suit me, so I wanted the meaning, I wanted to search for the meaning of things. And this characteristic has stayed with me all my life, still now. So I can say I am a seeker like many others.
A seeker who has curiosity, perhaps, right?
Always, always. I would add after this accident, yes, always a seeker like many, but a survivor like few. That, yes. Yes.
And at the level of your daily life before this accident, what made you feel alive every day during that period?
Let's say that I have always had perhaps another level of judgment, also self-judgment, right? So it always seemed to me that something was missing, and I tried to fill this something with practice. And I practiced many disciplines.
There you go.
Mainly Eastern ones, starting from martial arts up to precisely shamanism to yoga. Among other things, I was teacher for more than 20 years also of yoga. And I would say I judged myself. I would say there was always something missing in my practice because anyway, I felt that inside me there was this restlessness that always came back knocking on my door. After some practice, I would regain balance, but something always came back, always precisely something knocking at the door to tell me, okay, I'm still missing something. What is that I am missing? This aspect accompanied me. It accompanied me through my whole life until the accident.
Okay, so you spoke about being a seeker, right? And maybe for you, you connect these things together. The fact of wanting to search for something because there was always something that had to change or something that was missing?
No, I have always seen this form of restlessness, even if apparently different, not only in me, but also in those who came to me to practice yoga, or in those who followed other paths, as I precisely periodically approached other disciplines as well to understand, or other encounters, because sometimes it happens this way, just as we met. Apparently, it's just a casual way, but it never is. No, people always meet for some reason, for an exchange. And in all these exchanges, in all these encounters, or when someone came to me to truly practice the essence of yoga, then I saw that there was still restlessness. And therefore, my search was not only for me, but also for those who came to find me, because they were looking for help in finding an answer.
Yeah. Beautiful, yeah. And we talked about your accident. We know what happened, but maybe if you feel like telling us what happened on the day of the accident for those listening to us.
Yes. As I always had precisely research as part of my life, but also motorcycles. Therefore,
Motorcycles, okay.
Motorcycle, bike. I've always been a biker. And that day too, I was simply returning from a meeting with friends. I was going back home, and everything came in an extremely rapid way, in an extremely particular way, because I truly perceived that something extremely strong was about to happen.
You mean when you got on the motorcycle in the moment when you were returning?
Yeah. A moment before, let's say, a few dozen seconds before the accident, I felt the sounds differently. I heard the engine roars differently. I understood that this car was trying to do something particular. In short, this driver cut me off. came onto me, made a U-turn, overtook me on the right, and then made a turn onto me, and therefore I found myself flying for dozens of meters and bouncing on the asphalt. And from there, let's say, a moment happened. There was an extremely particular moment, precisely despite the impact being devastating, because indeed flying for dozens of meters is quite certainly and hitting the asphalt. And I heard the noise inside the helmet. It was devastating, but despite this, I always felt protected, as if I were inside a sphere, and I bounced the way a sphere does. And there was a moment, in short, in which I found myself, let's say, on another sphere. From, however, always in a very... let's say that even in the moment of the accident and the decades spent working on meditation or also with martial arts, on control, on presence, also on bodily and mental presence, certainly helped me, because in the impact with the asphalt, I was still reasoning about how, about what, about how to proceed, about, and always lucidly I found myself, as I was telling you, in another dimension, let's say.
Okay.
Where, yes, I was asked what I wanted to do. I asked to go back.
Okay. And so you were aware of what was happening, because I imagine it was very fast.
Everything was extremely fast. But as it happens, many who have gone through this, let's say, those extremely strong moments, and one sees one's own life again, and I found myself saying goodbye to everyone, let's say, to all my loved ones. And when I returned on the asphalt, into the presence of the body, I felt the whole body again, all the pain, the burning of the body, and the impossibility of moving.
Okay. So there was this moment in which you were connected with something, and...
There was a moment in which I felt myself precisely from the body, at the moment I was losing the body, at the moment in which I was free. I felt complete freedom. At the moment in which instead I came back, I felt the whole body again, which however could not move, but I felt the pain made human.
I imagine. Yes, because I imagine the impact had strong consequences on the body, right?
Yeah. Let's say that in the last meters, I also, later on, I was sure, because the pressure on the helmet was extremely high, the fastening opened. So in the last meters, I braked with my head. And then, in short, I had exposed bones, exposed knees, the body completely burned. So in short, it was not, there were moments, let's say, very intense.
Okay. And in this moment in which you feel yourself returning into the body, do you have particular memories? Did you find yourself in the hospital? Is there something that...
I don't know how, but I never lost consciousness. So I dragged myself out of the road, which was... it is a road, let's say, with a very high level of traffic. And I have to move by dragging myself using my elbows, like soldiers do. I dragged myself out. And I stayed there Then, fortunately, there was rescuers who immediately called the ambulance, and they constantly asked me what my name was. I answered because I was present, but I kept my eyes closed because I felt that I had very little vital energy. I was losing everything, so I closed my eyes to keep myself focused on the time I had left. Until the ambulance arrived. They took me to the hospital and they began stitching me up, a little here and there.
Okay. And from there begins a whole other...
From there, there's a second life begins. I can say a second life because in the morning, when I found myself in the bed, it appeared to me that it seemed to me that everything was new. The light of dawn, the bed with the high rails. It truly seemed to me that I was discovering everything. Then the nurses arrived and began treating me, trying to use, in some places, a bit of warm water. And there it truly seemed to me to be like the child who is born, to whom the first bath is given. So it was a rediscovery of the body, of life, of light, and of other human beings who take care of you, exactly as if you were a child.
Didn't you have any moments of fear in those moments?
From the very first instant, I was focused on healing. I thought, among other things, that I thought I was actually in a better state than I actually was.
Okay.
I had a very clear goal. In about a month and a half, I was supposed to live abroad with my children. And for me, that had to be a special moment. So I said, I have to get back on my feet to already be ready after a month and a half, and therefore I thought only about healing. I said, I have to get myself back in shape here. After all, I hurt my knee a little here and there. They didn't let me know that, in short, for 3 weeks I remained between life and death. But in short, I was focused on healing.
Okay, you never thought in a different way. That was the focus. That was it.
Yeah, I have to tell you the truth. And 10 seconds in all this very long period, there were 10 seconds in which I lost my focus. And my being in the healing journey, in seeing the light of healing. And for those 10 seconds were very long, because I felt myself as if being sucked into something that was not mine. And I felt that I was losing my right leg. And the sensation was so strong that I immediately came back to myself. I said, no, this is not what I want. Let's return to the light. And so it was.
And this was at the beginning, you say?
Yeah, this is at the beginning. At the beginning, because one doctor in particular told me that I would never walk again.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to ask you. What did they tell you, the doctors? What was the diagnosis?
Yes, to me, they didn't say anything in particular, but after I left the hospital, after many months, my family members, my sister in particular, told me that for those 3 weeks, in short, I had remained between life and death. All the values were completely off. I could have passed away at any moment. And in that period, let's say, this doctor in particular said that I would never walk again. And there too, I made the decision the decision to stay with myself and within myself, and remembering the sphere that I felt while I was flying, while I was landing. I precisely recreated my own sphere. Someone calls it a bubble. I call it sphere. A sphere in which precisely I could stay and I could let pass only what was useful to me and not the rest.
You really filtered the information.
Yeah, yes. Information, the presence of people. I decided who should stay, who should not stay.
And what strength, because in a moment in which perhaps the body is living through a great transformation, we can say it like that.
Yeah.
It's not always easy not to absorb this information, which then, seen from doctors in quotation marks, who seem to be the one who know what your body is, who give you precisely this reading of what you are at a bodily level. How did you manage to remain in this bubble, as you say?
I believe that the decades spent finding discipline, practice, finding my path, this certainly helped me. And in addition, also the strength of being a parent, because I am responsible, I feel responsible also for other people, for my children. But also, this is something I felt when I was leading my yoga school. In any case, I felt responsible towards those who chose to practice with me. So let's say here too, I spent my whole life feeling responsible also towards someone else, but let's say from the accident onward, I also started putting and including myself.
Of course.
As a person to whom I must give attention.
It was more than an invitation to do so, let's say this.
Yes.
This part of the journey. Yeah. It is very inspiring because many people, once there is this, like, okay, you will never walk again, right? And I remember then you told me, oh, I'll take care of that. It's incredible, this strength. You spoke about many years of practice. So you always had this trust in your body?
Yes. Obviously, over time, seeing one's own body that can do certain things, can rediscover that it can do certain things again, others not. The question is, will it never be able to do it, or will my body be able to do it? Will I be able to do it? This time will tell. But the question comes back that came out immediately when you asked me, who are you, right? The question also that since I was little, I make the distinction between who does and who says they do, who is, who shows they are. And so the question is, but am I the person who makes the movement, or does the movement make the person? If I cannot walk, am I a different person? And in what way? In what sense? And so from there something began that was no longer mental. It was truly something that was born, grew truly from the body that wanted to remanifest itself and speak to me. And I could not escape. I was in bed.
And for how long?
3 months. 3 months in bed, without a single muscle anymore. Because after 15 days being bedridden, the muscle disappeared. And I joked when I welcomed guests, I would say, here, welcome home. I'll show you this little corner of the bed. It's my living room. And this was the center. It is my lounge. Here's the kitchen. I did everything in a bed. So this is it. physicality has its role. The body is a vehicle. It is a vehicle of transformation, of communication. Not because it must always do something that we tell it to do. Here I could not do. Here I had to begin a dialogue with my body to feel what it could tell me, and from there something was born. Truly, something completely new was born. Completely.
It's beautiful because this dialogue with the body, in moments like that, it must create such depth in your case, but there are also those who completely refuse, completely detach themselves for different reasons, right? There is the comparison of how it was before and now, the frustration, right, that we can feel. And you instead, you were just welcoming all of this.
Yes, and at the beginning unconsciously, because my only initial guide was that I had to heal. Why? Because I had to go on a trip with my children. Then I saw that this could not happen that way. But I was already in this new journey that was giving me very, very strong messages, and that I continue constantly to decipher.
Of course, of course. And in all of this, yoga returned at a certain point, I imagine, even when you were in bed in your healing process.
Yoga in the true essence of yoga, because in the West people do yoga. They do not live the meaning of yoga. This is because yoga is let's say, it's a set of way of being, not only of doing, also of doing, which is not only about doing extremely complex movements or only doing a breath that is more or less noisy. There are many, many methods now that have become fashionable, but it is the practice. The typically Western practice wants to succeed, wants to be good, wants to be flexible, wants to be strong, and
in the showing, the demonstration a bit.
Always showing, demonstrating. What do you have to demonstrate? Who you truly are. Therefore, the essence of yoga is to seek who one truly is, and based on this to live, whereas what is being done now, it is a bit what I see around me. It's very much precisely doing and repeating what one does in a daily life, whether it is yoga or not. So answering your question, I feel myself in yoga, even if I don't do yoga poses.
Of course.
Because I seek myself. And whether it is through movement, whether it is through breathing, in eating, in speaking, in thinking, whether it is in writing, even just at home, where am I? Am I doing that? Perfect, who am I? So I feel that. For me, that is yoga. Therefore, that approach was always there.
Wonderful. So when you were saying there had been so many years of practice before, you surely felt that accompanying you through this moment of healing, if we can call it that way. Beautiful. And obviously you know that I am in the world of Reiki, and I wanted to ask you in what way Reiki perhaps also accompanied you during this period of time.
Oh gosh, it accompanied me. It helped me. It supported me. It cuddled me. I remember that we did, I had sent you a message, look, this happened, I can't come, I can do it. And then we, even when you were not in Italy, maybe you were actually in Japan.
Yes, yes, it's true.
And I remember then okay, let's start at 3. And at 3, without looking at the clock, I felt this fresh air coming from
Japan?
from the east, from the Orient. Gosh, but it's already 3. It was truly perceptible, and so it was precisely during the pre-surgery period, during the surgery, during the surgeries, because then over the course of a year and a half, 2 years, I had several surgeries, and always when there was the pre-surgery Reiki phase, my heartbeat would go down to 48 beats. And they would say to me, but what is happening? And it's called Reiki.
Beautiful.
And this ultra sensitivity also remained. Cultivated during this period. Then I followed the first level, the second level, and it was seeing that every time the body reacted differently, received differently, seeing that there are connections that go beyond the physical, in short.
Yeah. I believe in any case with your practices, you already had this awareness of the body. And I don't know whether on the level of pain you felt something changing during these treatments, or whether there was a sense of calm, or I don't know how you perceived it.
Yes, everything of that. It was like the pain was diluted, certainly. It was spread out, right? Instead of being concentrated in extremely precise points, at least the first passage was that there was this lightness, freshness, calm, and understanding of the meaning of things, because that also comes when, yes, one is in a situation of this kind. Yes, you feel it. You feel it.
Beautiful. And yes, I remember because everything was remote. It was not possible to actually go to the hospital to do a treatment like that. And then you came for the first level, the Shodan level, walking a little, and the second level, the Okuden level, you arrived by walking quickly. So yeah, it was also a great inspiration to see that there was this phase of you will never walk again. And then everything that you decided to commit yourself to in order to move towards this healing, to take care of your body in the way that was chosen, your choice, and not the one that would have been imposed by someone else, right? And so you never lost trust in your body.
No. I had faith, trust. I would say faith, trust, and gratitude. These were the pillars guiding every instant of my day. And they still are, obviously.
Of course. I imagine that there are many things that, because this is a form of rebirth, right? Is there something in particular that you feel that this experience transformed in you?
Yes, many things. As I told you, it's a journey. That restlessness that I spoke to you about before, which accompanied me for my whole life now. And in the end, I recognized that it became my compass because I had to search for something. And I think I have found my path. This is my path that I want to share, that I want to share with as many people as possible. And I also see the practical effect it has. And but then I feel not necessarily practical, but let's say existential effects that it has on me. Therefore, I feel the meaning of things. This certainly makes me say, okay, this thing I do, this thing I do not do. Why? Because I say no. Because for me, it is right this way, or it is not right this way, and therefore I don't do it.
Yeah, so there is really, how to say, it's like, it's almost like bringing into the light, how can one say, for you. I mean, there is really this underlining of, okay, this yes, this no.
And I say that, but I'm not like, I live a very ordinary life. I have a classic job, a family, or the duties of a family, a house to support. So it's not that I'm outside or far from society. I am immersed in society.
Of course, it's not separated from...
No. I think I live an extremely ordinary life. And today I can say extraordinarily ordinary because I can allow myself. I feel able to say, to express my voice with my voice, the choice that I make because something in me speaks. Now I listen more to my body. It is not only the chatter of the mind that can condition us.
Of course, yeah. It's beautiful, eh? Yeah. Now I have a question that I ask all the guests on Healing Banashi, and I ask it to you now because we needed to understand your whole journey before asking you this question. But what does the word healing mean to you today?
Healing for me is always a journey. It is a journey in which today I am well. Tomorrow I am better. Or maybe today I'm unwell. Tomorrow I will be better. The day after tomorrow I will be well. Therefore, how one can heal, and this of course depends on the case, this depends on the situation.
Of course.
As I said before, I had to heal from restlessness, and instead restlessness healed me. Therefore, there's no the mathematical formula in the sense of 2 plus 2. I cannot tell it to you, but I can tell you that for me, healing is always a journey that never ends.
It's in movement.
Always in movement. Therefore, in order to heal, I necessarily have to have a dialogue with myself. I must always listen to myself. Therefore, at that point, I can say, okay, I need to meet a friend to talk. I need not to think about anything. I need to take a walk. I need to have to eat a good chocolate ice cream. I need to do a good intense practice and so on.
It is really that listening, the development of that listening, yeah?
I need to be bored.
Exactly. That is important too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. So nothing static.
The only thing that can be static, but it is not in reality, is only an idea, the idea of staticity, which can be, there is nothing, not even a stone, right, which seems static, and yet it is eroded by the wind, by the water, therefore nothing
Is completely static.
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. Beautiful. Now that you mentioned that you can also help others through, obviously, you taught yoga for many years, but you have also now developed your own personal approach. If you agree to talk about it, inner glowing.
Yeah, yes.
Perhaps you can explain to us with your own words what it is about.
It is a journey, I would say, for everyone, but not for everyone. In the sense that it is so simple that it appears difficult, because in this wanting to do more, in order to be able to demonstrate more, people maybe want something that it is difficult, so they feel better when they manage to do it. And instead, this inner glowing, it puts you in the condition of feeling yourself and recognizing yourself. And it is a bit the journey that I made myself. I didn't want to give myself and recognize myself. I didn't look at myself. I looked at others until the point where I died. I died, and also I was dying another time, and therefore I said, either I do it or I listen to myself, otherwise it ends here. And this listening to oneself happens in a very simple way, through the body. And there is nothing to do in this case. It is that. And why it is the opposite? It's extremely simple, but it's extremely difficult for people who are used to doing, running, and wanting to demonstrate something to someone in order to be seen.
So it's returning to being.
Returning to being, to recognize oneself, and then this is the first phase. Once you have been able to appreciate the wonder that you are, then, if you want, you can go. You can take another step. And this step can be to burn the pains, the tensions that block you, that block your body. And because in your body cannot express itself, that it moves because it is used to moving in a certain way, but underneath, certain tensions, here there is more life in the body. If there are tensions, that type of energy does not move, and then movements are created that are standards, that are rigid, but your true essence cannot express itself. Therefore, the second phase for me is guiding you to make these movements Therefore, not teaching you because only you know your natural movements, but I help you to make these natural movements so you will rediscover and burn these tensions.
Beautiful.
And after you have known yourself and after you have burned what blocks you, what life can you create? Then the third phase is that you can truly express your desires. And with practice and movement, you can make flow, circulate everything that you have left still for who knows how many years, decades or lifetimes.
Wonderful. So there are truly necessary phases in order to integrate, embody yeah, it's beautiful. I also like the fact that there is not one right way because every soul is different, right?
Yes. That's it. So I don't know, and it's not the question of this movement being beautiful or ugly. This is a judgment. No one can say it because if we exist, it means that there is a reason. It means that the universe requires our presence. Therefore, it is necessarily beautiful. Actually, I would say, as I said before, wonderful, but one can see if everything is blocked. A movement can seem stiff. If there is that rigidity, it means that behind it, there is an emotional tension deposited in the body that does not allow the body to become fluid, that movement, that natural movement. Therefore, a series of practices allow one to return into the body, move, and make everything flow.
Beautiful. And so you teach it. Therefore, you have already put it into motion.
Yes. And obviously on myself. Therefore, I can say that I walk. I brought out, I took out energies that were buried, but it was the body that indicated to me when I was in bed. The body told me to move in certain ways, even when I could not move. And obviously, I did therapies, I did everything that was necessary and even more. But I would never have endured activities for so many hours without it.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Therefore, my first student was myself. Now I am seeing enthusiastic results. Therefore, I actually want to share the experience, not of the accident, but of the healing journey, and to receive the feedback that I am receiving about what people encounter, or rather, who they encounter during this practice.
Wonderful, yeah. And I mean, it was truly born from all this experience, also very significant, and therefore it's beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful. And then you also transformed a part of this journey into words and through a book, right?
Yes, it's true.
And so what gave you the desire to write it?
Obviously, during this long period of the healing process, I met many people and to whom I told what had happened to me. And everyone, no one excluded, truly, many people told me that I should write, because a story like that, a story like this can truly inspire those who are on a journey of this kind. Not that they necessarily must have had a motorcycle accident, who knows what, but it is moments of difficulty that we all have. And therefore, I thought at the umpteenth request of you should do it, you should do it, you should do it. Perhaps I really should do it. And therefore, I truly began to write, to take notes, to say what, according to me, was truly significant, and also asking many questions in the book. I ask many questions because I never liked either conversing and having another person, or teaching yoga and having on the other side a person who places themselves in a passive position. I am nobody. I am a wonderful being just as much as you already are. Therefore, it is simply an exchange of visions, of different visions, and also of different moments of one's own life. Therefore, there is simply an exchange. If you come to me to hear about inner glowing, then I am the right person, certainly. But there is no one above another person, in my opinion, just as there is not necessarily the mind above the body, or vice versa. But depending on the situation, one must let one part of ourselves intervene rather than another. And in the historical period that I lived through, I said I understood that I had to make the body work a bit more in order to let it regain its dignity. Because generally the mind says, okay, I want to do this, let's do this. I want to eat this much, I want to eat, should I eat nothing? The body needs it or does not need it. Therefore, the body is always put aside or in a second place without a voice. And instead, by giving a voice to the body, one feels that it can express itself and say, I have these tensions accumulated because of this life story of yours. Clean here. I will give you a lot of energy. And this is the meaning of inner glowing, the meaning of exchange, the meaning that led me to the book.
Wonderful. Do you feel in the process of writing a form also of healing in the act of writing all this, of putting everything into words?
Yes, so much emotion. I can say. And but also in the parts, for example, of acknowledgement, so much emotion that I received from those who did the journey, and even only did the first part of the journey and discovered what they could do. Therefore, in short, it's such a beautiful exchange.
Yeah.
It had to be written, let's say.
Yes, in fact, I remember that, I don't know if it was during the first or second Shoden or Okuden level when we did the Jikiden Reiki course. We were saying, so when is the book coming? And now you have it written. We cannot wait to be able to read it, truly. And who knows, perhaps also to experience inner glowing with you.
Certainly.
Wonderful.
We're always ready.
I have a question because maybe there is someone listening to us who is experiencing something truly at the very beginning of the healing journey, right? Who perhaps is going through something close to what you experienced. What message would you like to transmit to someone who is truly at the beginning of this healing path?
I would invite them to express themselves. Yes, because not knowing their story, I cannot think that they could act the way I acted. Therefore, I would say, I would ask them, what would you do? If they were If they felt completely lost, I would ask them what their pillars are in order to continue, to continue living. Because if these are pillars, positive ones, that give them strength, surely they will find their path. If the pillars to lean on is fear, that is a problem. Therefore, one must always choose, make a choice. Yeah, I would say this. I don't feel like being a guide, but let's say that I like listening and understanding the situation.
Yes. So to express yourself, to always express yourself.
Yes. If they ask me for advice, I surely, and let's say I could bring them some of my personal experiences, but they are personal experiences.
Yeah, of course.
Therefore, I would always ask them precisely, start from what you know. If what you know is a good starting point, begin with that starting point.
Yeah, yeah. Don't compare yourself. This is something very important.
Because that's how judgment starts, right?
Exactly.
And also self-judgment, and therefore from there self-sabotage begins. Instead, we need the greatest supporters, and the greatest supporters should be ourselves. Therefore, that is the point. This is a huge point. This is why the first step, for example, in inner glowing is always, okay, you must know yourself. This, and within 4-5 minutes, you have the first glow. This is why I said inner glowing, because the inner glow, that glows is us. If you see that glow, if you are able to see that glow, then truly you can go anywhere. Then you may decide not to go, maybe, but
that would be a choice.
But give it a look.
Exactly. Daring to look at this beauty.
Yes. Yes.
Which is not simple. Perhaps also, the way we are educated in this society does not always helps us going in this direction. Therefore, it is beautiful that you also create this possibility for others. It's wonderful, I always ask somewhat. I do not go with simple questions.
Wonderful questions. May I say the truth? They're extremely, extremely beautiful. Beautiful. We live, let's say, a matrix in which there are thousands programmings from education and even the same, perhaps, family history from which one comes. Therefore, they create tensions without being able to remember a tension. Perhaps we received tension when we were in the womb, in the mother's womb. And therefore, our body nevertheless received these emotional tensions and they remain in the body. Therefore, the beautiful thing is, I say beautiful, I do not know whether it is beautiful or less beautiful, but I say with inner glowing, I do not want to know anything about the story, because that is the mental part. What interests us, what interests me, is seeing the body, how it moves. The body expresses itself. It manages to speak through contact. Therefore, the body, a pre-projective type of work where one feels the tensions, movements are created. The tension disappears, and materially a new life emerges without you having to explain rationally to yourself, this is happening, or who knows, I understood this other thing. No, your existence manifests itself for what it must be.
Everything is there in the movement.
Yes.
Wonderful. I still have one more question for you. So, if you could speak to the version of yourself before the accident or immediately after the accident, what would you say today to that version of Vincenzo?
Have trust in yourself, trust yourself, continue like this. After all, I exist. I am here because you existed there. Therefore, it means that it was all right, even when it seemed that it was going badly. And they say, right, that ancient story, according to which they say the stone cutter gives 1,000 blows to the stone, and the 1,000th blow, the rock breaks. But was it the 1,000th blow or the 999 previous blows that allowed the 1,000th one to break the rock? There it is a bit, So my restlessness allowed me to arrive here at the clarity that I have today. Therefore, I think it can be like this for everyone. If the person truly wants to come out of the state of ancient programming and find the existence that one truly desires, then it is right to take a step, the next step. You decide under what form or through what.
Wonderful, Vincenzo. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, before closing, if someone wants to get in touch with you, who has listened to this whole story, perhaps that wants to contact you, to try Inner Glowing, or to know more about your book, what is the best way to do so? Perhaps by email, your website?
Yes. There's the website. It is www.innerglowing.it.
Okay, perfect.
And there you'll find the email, info@innerglowing.it. Then there will be the contacts and
okay, so this way we can contact you.
There will be surely the social media, Instagram, always Inner Glowing, imagination reigns. But it is right that we so that it's easy to find, let's say.
Of course, that's logical.
Glowing, therefore GLOW.IT.
Perfect. I will write all the links and integrate them in the show notes. Also, when there will also be the link for the book, so we will put everything together. Right, Vincenzo. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for this sharing, for your sincerity, and for everything that you transmit through your journey, your presence. It is very touching, For me, after our practices, I always cry while listening, and I'm also grateful for this wonderful conversation. So this is very inspiring, your path that you shared with us today. So, Vincenzo,
thank you, and thanks to everyone.
We will see each other soon in our various different practices.
See you soon.
See you soon. Thank you, Vincenzo. Arigato.
Arigato.
Thank you so much for listening. And a heartfelt thank you to Vincenzo for his presence, his words, and for sharing his journey with us. And thank you to all of you for being here with us until the very end. You can find me on social media. All the links are available in the show notes. Feel free to share your thoughts, your feelings, or simply to continue this experience in the comments. May this listening or watching accompany you with gentleness and kindness. See you very soon for the next episode, and in the meantime, take care.